Hey, Forge fans, it is the Forge Audio Network. I'm Anthony Urciuoli. Match in review. Forge FC with a dominant 3-0 win at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton against Pacific FC. This was a bell-to-bell dominant effort from Forge FC. I mean, if we revisit the three keys to the match: home ownership. Make sure Tim Hortons Field is a scary place to play. Well, it was a scary place to play for Pacific on Sunday. Key number 2 was tempo, attack, press. All of those, they brought the energy, Forge did. So that's 2 checks. And number 3, Diaz Donut, keeping Alejandro Diaz off the score sheet, Pacific's leading scorer, who has scored almost half of the club's goals this season. 0 goals for him. He had 1 shot on target, and it was a fantastic save from Tristan Henry, who now has 3 clean sheets on the season. Ashton Morgan scoring the first goal for Forge against Pacific in this one in the 11th minute. His first goal as a member of Forge FC in his first season with the club. 2 minutes later, Tristan Borges with his, what are we at now? We got to keep running. His 5th of the season. By the way, hats off to canpl.ca. I'm not sure there's a sports site in the world that updates their stats as quickly as canpl.ca does. Borges now with 5 goals on the season. He's 1 behind Diaz for the league lead, and he's played in 3 less matches than Diaz has. So things are looking good for Borges to again lead the league in scoring, and it's looking great for Forge FC. They did get a third, Wubens Passius, in the 83rd minute, and that was the final dagger there. Forge got everything they needed out of their starting lineup, and were also able to get some new faces into the lineup. In fact, a couple of signings that were just announced shortly before Forge and Pacific kicked off in Hamilton, and it was Orlandis Benitez and Malcolm Duncan. Duncan, a defender, Benitez, an attacker. Both saw the field in this one. We're going to hear shortly from head coach and technical director from Forge FC, Bobby Smirniotis, and he'll talk about the fact that those 2 guys, they might need them soon, just with what Forge is dealing with injuries and players on international duty. They need bodies, and they're able to get 2 guys some valuable minutes in this one, and that will be able to serve them well, you would think, going into their next match and the one after that, if they still need bodies. So 3-0 the final from Tim Hortons Field. I mentioned you'll hear from head coach Bobby Smirniotis. You will also hear from Ashton Morgan, the goal scorer for Forge. And I just, before we get to that, I need to point something out here. I don't think it's something we've taken too much time on, and it's worth delving into a little bit. The most dangerous person in the Canadian Premier League, it's not a player, it's a coach. And it is Bobby Smirniotis, Forge's head coach and technical director. In terms of just game planning, tactics, he sees the game. We had Andy Petrillo on the Forge Audio Network earlier this season, who, of course, is one of the voices of One Soccer. And she said the first time she spoke to Bobby, this is year 1 of the CPL, she walked away saying, I think that guy's a genius. No, he is a genius. After one conversation with Bobby Smirniotis. And if you listen to him talk, there is just something about Bobby. And what makes him so great is the game planning, the tactics, the way he's able to plug different players into different positions, and the system. It's almost just a well-oiled machine is Forge FC right now. And that's not taking anything away from the players who have to execute. And you do need a certain type of player to be able to play in Bobby's system, and the players will tell you, Bobby will even tell you, the tactical demand is high when you're playing for Bobby Smirniotis. But he has guys that can to play under those conditions and deliver. And I mean, we've seen guys switching positions, sometimes mid-match, from defender to midfield to fullback, back to midfield. And it's again, like I said, it's like a well-oiled machine, and Forge has the players to do it. Now, something we haven't talked about much. Forge is used to playing a lot of games in any given year, whether it's CPL matches, Canadian Championship matches, CONCACAF. It's a club that's been busy. I mean, they've logged a lot of kilometers through the air and through their travel. And look, when you do that, you don't have as much time for training. You don't have as much time for, film prep, for game planning. Forge has been, prolific, the most prolific club in the Canadian Premier League since its inception. And they've been able to do that under some difficult circumstances with the travel, with the schedule. And then when you factor in the injuries and the illnesses and COVID and playing in bubbles, and it was a lot. Bobby Smirniotis now only has one focus. He was dangerous before. He's even more dangerous now that he doesn't have to think about CONCACAF or the Canadian Championship or any kind of tournament. He is thinking CPL. He's thinking domestic league. And he is thinking third title in 4 seasons for Forge FC. And the victory over Pacific will go a very long way. As it stands right now, Forge, 4 points at it. Now let's just rewind a bit. Not that long ago, people were kind of sounding the alarms, like, what's going on with Forge? Something's up. Well, they're 4 points out of first place. That first place club is Pacific, which Forge just dominated. I mean, it was a statement game, which is what Ashton Morgan said, and we're going to hear from him in moments. So now that Forge is 4 points out of first, they also have 3 games in hand on Pacific. I mean, this was a 6-point swing, and now Forge is in control of their own fate. If Forge wants it, they can take the top of the table and secure home field advantage throughout the postseason, which is huge. I mentioned Ashton Morgan getting his first goal of the season. Post-match, I asked him how it felt scoring that goal and also what he saw and the build-up before he was able to finish.
Yeah, honestly, pretty sure we lost the ball, but then the reaction from all the guys that surrounded, hunted again, led to the goal. We were all on the front foot for a good portion of that game. And basically it's on the front foot, and, we got rewarded for the hard work we do off the ball.
The start was great, but the finish too, it was really like a whistle type performance from the club.
Yeah.
That's feel good for you guys.
Yeah, 100%. All the boys are excited. I feel, this game was a big statement game. We were kind of unlucky in the Canada Cup final, and we wanted to build off that performance. And, we're not in the position that we want to be in, but today was a big game for us to do what we had to do to win and get back into a position to hunt for the top.
Well, that goal for Ashton Morgan, as we mentioned, is his first, but let's delve deeper into the stats here. Forge have 18 goals in 8 matches. I mean, that's 2.25 goals a match, 2.25 goals a match. You're not going to lose many games if you can average more than 2 goals a match. I mean, you're setting yourself up to be in great position in this league. They're not only that, they're converting more than 25% of their shots on target. They're efficient. 1 out of every 4 on target, more than 1 out of every 4 on target are going in. And these numbers, to put them in perspective, so Forge now leads the league in goals. I mean, comfortably. And they've played less matches than anybody. 18 goals in 8 matches. Second is Valor. They have 14 goals in 9 matches. And they're averaging 1.56 goals a game. That's the closest to Forge. The attack is firing on all cylinders. And part of that, of course, Ashton Morgan against Pacific, Borges, a huge reason for that, and his surge as of late. Now, we talked about Bobby Smirniotis, the most dangerous man in the Canadian Premier League, especially when he's given more time to prep and plan for his next opponent. Well, his game plan was executed to a T, and that's just one of the many things he spoke about post-match after Forge's 3-0 win at home over Pacific.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. One thing we talk about is how good we're going to be in the first 15, 20 minutes and set the tempo and really try and impose ourselves on the game. And by the way the game went, we did a pretty good job at that. And I think, after that, it gave the guys a little bit more comfortability in where they needed to be and what they needed to do. Pacific had a little bit of the ball, which I think is normal after you score 2 goals in that first period. And after that, I think, we're very good. Just we saw where their pressure points were. We had talked about that before the game, whether they were high in a mid block and where we wanted the ball to be moving and players to be moving, and the guys executed. So once you do that, if you've read the opponent well as a staff and as players, then things start becoming easier on the pitch.
Did that third goal give you just make it a little more comfortable with your subs and being able to use more guys?
Oh, to be honest, we had the subs ready to go in as that penalty was called, so that was going to happen from there. But just all around, very good. We've gone through a tough time. We look at it and we have 12 senior roster players, field players that are healthy, along with our 2 goalies, 14, using up all our developmental spots. We've brought in another 2 guys on emergency. So I just thought, maybe if we're in a situation next week where we need these guys again, it's important for them to touch the field, get the feeling with the team, because maybe they'll be needed a little bit next week. So just so that they get familiar with, even if it's 1, 2, 10 touches out there, I think that all helps. We hope to get a few guys back by next week, but at the same time, the guys are doing a great job. They're stepping up, playing the football, and it's getting better each and every game.
All right, that was head coach and technical director of Forge FC, Bobby Smirniotis. Now let's go to his counterparts, James Merriman, who was also dealing with some injuries and illnesses and players on international duty. And he didn't have the lineup he would have liked, but Forge didn't either. And James Merriman, very disappointed in his club post-match.
We need to talk about it. We need to look at each other, and we can't start games like this if we want to compete, if we want to be there. I think they scored in the first 10 minutes, 11 minutes. So it doesn't give us a chance. We start on the back foot, and then we concede, and then we concede again, and then we're chasing. So again, we can't play like this on the road. We can't travel and not be ready to start, not be ready to run for each other. If you don't do those are the base, essentials. So we're not running enough. We're not ready to play.
So a week from Sunday, next Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern time, Forge's next match on the road in Halifax at Wanderers Ground, one of the most difficult places to play. Forge dominated HFX last match, by the way, in Halifax. Don't think the Wanderers forget that. And with the way Forge is never going to sneak up on anybody because they're Forge and teams are always going to be up to play against them. But the Wanderers are especially going to be at least focused on revenge against Forge on their home turf. So that is the next match for Forge. Next home match for Forge FC, June 29th. It is a 7 p.m. start time with Valor taking on Forge at Tim Hortons Field, and that'll be the first of back-to-back home matches. So 2 opportunities for you to see your Forge FC tickets available online. Don't forget, keep it locked onto the Forge Audio Network, however you get your digital content, whether it's podcast, YouTube, the Forge FC official website, maybe it's Forge's official social media pages, wherever it is. We have plenty of content coming up for you this week. So subscribe, keep it locked, and we'll talk to you soon.
We are the Forge, the mighty, mighty Forge. You just don't think you understand.
This has been Match in Review with Anthony Urciuoli on the Forge Audio Network. For the latest on all things Forge FC, subscribe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.